Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're going to be returning to Grand Tactician, the Civil War. In today's video, this was taken from a live stream on my Twitch channel last night, where I actually started a brand new campaign as the Union. I did want to start another campaign. Most of the campaigns out there have been from a Confederate point of view, at least the ones going on right now. So I started a new one as the Union. My objective was to move forward on the offensive everywhere at once to see how that played out. Didn't play out so well. Apparently, and this isn't yet in the screen here, but Grant and Pope moved forward in Tennessee and Missouri, and I guess they ran out of supplies and took a huge amount of casualties and retreated without a major battle, thus opening up the way to Cairo, Illinois. In this video, we're going to be looking at a tactical battle against General Jackson's Valley Army, fought on the battlefield map for Sharpsburg because the random battles aren't in yet. This is before a major patch that is coming out in a few days, and I just wanted to show this battle and probably one more from this campaign. Unfortunately, I ran into another campaign crashing bug, so I'll be sending that over to the developer. But I still thought these were little entertaining tactical battles, at least in today's videos, primarily looking at a tactical battle in the Valley against Jackson. With that being said, this game is coming out to early access in a few days on the 21st of August. I'm going to play another campaign in a couple of days, but we're going to play as the Confederates, and I'm going to hope that I make a little bit more progress into the campaign without any gameplay crashes. I'm going to wait for that patch that's coming in a few days, though. So if the patch comes out in the next 2 days, then we'll probably play it right away. If the patch takes a little bit longer, then I may have a few days where we've got other games other than Grand Tactician. In any event, that's enough of me rambling and setting this up. Let's go ahead and jump into this tactical battle against General Jackson in the Valley. Now, I think there's supposed to be a Battle of the Shenandoah. So now when I click on this unit, I do get the option to fight the battle. So I guess we'll fight against Jackson's corps over here and see what happens. Looks like it's loading the Battle of Pea Ridge map for us here. So maybe we'll beat Jackson if I can fight a tactical battle. Hey, Arkansas. How you doing? Or Arkansas. I know that's not how you pronounce it. Okay. Shouldn't we have more than 9,000? Oh, wait, no. Why is it talking about Pea Ridge and this is not the... Okay. Okay. So if we take a look here... We've got about 14,000 infantry. Jackson has about 8,000. We should outnumber the enemy almost 2-to-1. So hopefully we can crush them pretty easily. We've got a bunch of objectives to take and touch and take and touch. Actually, just one touch. 5 takes. It's going to occur on the battlefield of Antietam. We are going to deploy on the eastern portion of the map, which is actually convenient. So we'll just deploy... Where's Banks? I clicked on him the first time just completely by luck. Come on now. Whatever. We'll deploy division by division, I guess. We also have some cavalry, which I don't think is attached to anybody. Okay. There's an artillery division? I didn't really look at the OOB. Looks like just one battery, though. All right, 5th Corps. So let's just deploy everybody. So we're going to deploy everybody probably in column here. Looks like we can deploy them pretty far out. So we've got 2 divisions. We've got the 1st Division under Alpheus Williams, and we've got the 2nd Division under James Shields. The objectives are probably less important than just destroying the enemy army. The enemy seems to be on the other side of the Potomac down here. So I want to keep my divisions connected. This is a little bit of a smaller fight than usual. I might have heavy advantages over the enemy in numbers, but if I split the divisions, then I will rapidly lose any such advantage. So I'm going to go ahead and move my troops down here toward the middle bridge. Again, we're using the Battle of Antietam map because the random battles aren't in yet. And then I'm going to move my troops down from the middle bridge, down into Sharpsburg, and then south toward where the Confederate Army is. We also, this cavalry, I'm not sure who the cavalry is attached to, but we do have a cavalry brigade of about 2,200 men with Sharps carbines in our stead as well. So we are going to go ahead and play. We'll unpause that. We'll go ahead and have Williams move his men immediately down into Sharpsburg, form a lineup in the city, and then we'll go ahead and have Shields form up to his south. And there's a lot of interesting terrain in and around Sharpsburg, so we'll see how that all plays out. Meanwhile, we'll have the cavalry move down toward the lower bridge. Let's see. I don't want you guys. This is a bad idea. Don't. How do I issue? No. Okay. That's what I do not want them to move over the lower bridge. I don't want them to move over Burnside's bridge. So I had to do a few things there, but they canceled their orders moving south to the lower bridge. Williams is going to move over the middle bridge. The lower bridge, at least the Battle of Antietam anyway, since that's the map we're using, there's a lot of high ground overlooking the bridge, so if they move more slowly than the rebels, that would be a tough ask. It's better on this map to go over the middle bridge. The topography is still pretty advantageous. There's some ridges and whatnot, but they're relatively low ridges. I'm not going to be charging up any cliffs or anything like that, and the two divisions will be concentrated. We might create a bit of a traffic jam over the middle bridge by having two divisions and 15,000 men trying to go over simultaneously, but we'll see. All right, so we're just going to get the troops moving forward here. We'll go ahead and speed things up a bit. Maverick, your lack of faith is disturbing. Picking Jackson to win. Psh. Meanwhile, I think I did issue orders for this cavalry to move down here. The cavalry brigade. They've got a good tight hold on Banks, the commander. Banks' command radius is, I'm guessing, a little bit smaller than most of the guys on here. Who cares if it's Thomas Jackson? You've got the historical gamer fighting over here. All right. Cavalry's moving down to the lower bridge. Rebs, no indication of if they're crossing to these other objectives. Meanwhile, our troops are starting to move across the middle bridge. Cavalry still has a faint contact with Banks. I don't want to go take that objective back there. Why don't you go take this objective across the river? You can move across the lower bridge, scout out ahead of our troops. I was thinking about sending the cavalry back east. They're going to take a while to get the order from Banks. You can see the line. It does indicate, even though they're outside the command radius, they do have this line connection, which should mean they will get orders, but they'll take a while to get there. You can see they have received those orders now, and they are moving. So they have just the one objective on the other side of the river here. Meanwhile, the cavalry is kind of out screening in front now. By crossing the lower bridge, they're actually a little bit closer to the rest of our troops. If I was the rebel commander, I would just sit on this side of the Potomac and wait for me to come to me. Wait for the Union to come to me. I think that is the far wiser play for a Confederate player on this map when you're heavily outnumbered. Sitting on the defensive, but we'll see. All right, we've detected the enemy. We've used our cavalry like cavalry should be used. We've sent them out ahead of the infantry, and they've detected Confederate infantry, the Stonewall Brigade particularly, coming up on us. So Williams's 1st Division, I'm going to go ahead and adjust its front facing. So they're not yet into the town, but I'm going to adjust them a little bit as they move here. Not sure. I'm trying to get the alignment just right. We'll use the woods to the west of town, and then the town itself to anchor our flank. We'll have Shields come up and position himself on the flank supporting. And so we'll form these troops up here. Meanwhile, the enemy does look like they're going for our cavalry brigade, which is just going to kind of block in position until the rest of our troops can come up. So our cavalry is sitting here. They should really get into a single line. And then unmount. I don't know where these horses are coming from, but in any event, you can see our infantry here has engaged. It's 1600 hours on March 5th, 1862, and our cavalry is engaging enemy infantry moving up toward the Harper's Ferry Road in line formation. This is primarily being done just to delay the Rebs. They may take this objective, and that's fine. But our 2,000 infantry or cavalry here with their Sharps carbines are engaged with the Garnet's detachment. So it looks like mostly rebel skirmishers. And then we can see there's also another unit here. More Burke's skirmishers are also moving forward here to engage our troops. That is perfectly fine with me as Williams moves his division forward. I don't really want him in column formation. I wish there was a way to just auto set him to line. Sometimes it seems like the terrain sort of sets the formation, because you can see these guys along this fence line to the west of Sharpsburg are going to be in line formation, while other brigades are going to be formed up in column formation. I like that it clicks to the fence, attaches to the fence, and forms a line, and then you can see these guys look like they're going to form a line to the north, so it's kind of a bit of a salient there, but using the terrain to their advantage. But then these other brigades here are just going to form up straight in column, and that doesn't really suit me all that well. You can see it looks like he's got at least 2 batteries of artillery under Kimball and Chew that he's bringing up. Meanwhile, we've detected 4 enemy brigades of infantry, or is it 3? Fulkerson, the Stonewall Brigade, Burke's Brigade, and then Garnett's Brigade is somewhere around here. So 4 brigades of infantry, looks like 1 of cavalry, and then horse artillery and regular artillery. So we definitely have the advantage here. Meanwhile, our cavalry has 2,000 men. If he really only has 8,000 men, the cavalry might be able to hold its own for a little while. La Bouchière. Maybe. Anyway, my troops need time to get into position, so the cavalry's doing their job. We'll go ahead and fast forward things so they'll continue to engage. Hey, Banks, why are you chilling that far to the rear? You're going to lose contact, and I'm not going to be able to issue orders to your men. I don't want you in column. Don't do that. I don't want Banks that far back. If he can't issue orders if he's that far back. Why are you hanging back, Banks? I'm going to adjust Williams slightly to a better tactical position. And Shields is going to... Oh, that's not Shields. Shields is going to come forward a little bit. Maybe his CDs haven't matured yet. Already are. Yeah, I mean, that's not the greatest position for him to be. Williams still has a very faint line here, so him and Shields should both still be able to receive commands from Banks. And this is a little bit of the problem with not being able to issue commands to AI commanders, is that, like, Banks, if he just sits back here and he's like, oh, this is my headquarters back here at Porterstown, he's rapidly going to lose contact with the battle line as it engages. Meanwhile, our cavalry's losing some casualties. You've got the enemy is pushing forward now, so we'll get out of accelerated time here. They're right on the roadway. They've got good rapid fire, I think, because of their Sharps weapons, but you can see the Stonewall Brigade has been brought forward properly. Meanwhile, Fulkerson's skirmishers have engaged. They've only lost about 15 men. Burke's Brigade has lost nothing. I don't know where their detachment of skirmishers went. And now we're engaged with the Stonewall Brigade proper of about 1,200 men. So the Cavalry Brigade is starting to rout. Is there a retreat command? Shouldn't there be a retreat command? Well, I want you to retreat, boys. You've done your job. Get out of there! Well, they're going to take a lot of casualties here, but they've done their job and they've done it admirably. We can see our other divisions are deploying now. So they may have, yeah, they broke. So they're gonna rout from the field. We can try and have Banks issue a rally order. Rally, Banks, rally! Rally the men to your command. You're just going to sit back there, aren't you, Banks? Just great. All right, so we at least force the enemy to deploy. Hopefully our commander can rally his troops in time. Meanwhile, we're going to advance shields on the Rebs. And shields will hopefully pin the Rebs in place, and then we're going to have Williams' division come right down on the flank. You can see the enemy has a fair amount of artillery already in position. They should really, in my opinion, form up infantry along this fence line. Looks like there's sort of there's a stone wall here and a fence here. So if they form their troops up taking advantage of these lines, I think they'd be in better position. Or even using this long straight fence line, that would give them a better defensive position to hold. Why is my artillery going way out there? Can they hope, as long as they can hit from there, I guess. They're 20-pound Parrott rifles. Those are damn big guns. Almost in the rear of the enemy army. Well, maybe Banks can at least rally his men, right? All right, so Shields is going to move forward, hopefully, eventually. Again, I could issue orders for Banks to move forward, but if I do that, if I directly take command of Banks and tell him to move forward, then the entire army will move, and I don't exactly want that at this time. So it is the afternoon. So far, all that's really happened is amounting to a cavalry skirmish. Shields got the orders, so he's moving forward. You can see Fulkerson is sending out skirmishers. And Shields' division is about 8,000 strong. They must be larger brigades. You can see artillery is dueling. Now, the enemy uses skirmishers quite well, so I think that's pretty nice. I should do a better job of that. I guess I would expect the AI to do a little bit better job of using skirmishers for my own troops, right? If they issue the orders for the brigades to move, shouldn't they also issue orders for the brigades to detach skirmishers, it seems? All right, we're going to move Williams' division now. We're going to try and pivot in around the rebel lines. Except for this artillery, I don't want them to move there. All right, the Rebs are moving forward aggressively on my infantry. Jackson is coming on us. The 3rd Brigade is being charged by Rebs here. Burke's Brigade is just engaged in a melee. Meanwhile, it looks like the Stonewall Brigade's come up real close to our 2nd Brigade. And it looks like another brigade's trying to charge the center of this division. They've obviously decided that knocking out one of our divisions quickly is probably their best hope. Meanwhile, the artillery and cavalry continues to sort of sit back. I'm just going to take direct command of some of these brigades. How do I stop the chaining? Don't do any of that. All right, move that artillery over there. Meanwhile, you can see the fighting here in the center is very intense. What are my troops doing here? They seem to be, oh, I guess they're in a melee. It looked like they were like marching in circles almost. Meanwhile, point-blank range firing for the 2nd Brigade here. They've lost 67 men. These brigades look much larger than their Confederate counterparts, and our artillery still seems to be firing directly at these guys, so I'm not sure if friendly fire is on or if they're actually shooting at the infantry, or maybe they're shooting over their heads at some of the enemy artillery back there. Meanwhile, this should be the deciding factor here. The 1st Brigade firing into the flank of these Confederate troops, especially now that these guys are retreating. So we've routed at least the first element of this play here. Burke's Brigade is shattered and running. Meanwhile, our cavalry is... Are they still broken? They're nervous. They're not broken. So it looks like Banks did his job. He did rally some troops. So in that case, let's just go ahead and mop up some of these objectives on the map. And I'm going to chain their orders to send them to all these different places. I'm not sure if just passing through these places will seize them for the Union, but hopefully. Meanwhile, Fulkerson and the Stonewall Brigade are engaged. But again, we're kind of flanking them over here. They've got 1 brigade up front with the 3rd, which is... I mean, they're still doing pretty damn good. They're firing point blank. This is... They literally can probably see the whites of the enemy eyes. The 2nd Brigade is also doing pretty well. They've got Springfield muskets. These guys have Springfield muskets. I guess they all have Springfield rifled muskets. So the Stonewall Brigade is not so Stonewall today as they rout and run. So Burke and the Stonewall Brigade are running. They're running. How about you engage the enemy artillery up here? Maybe even move forward and charge the boys. Let's go ahead and engage this enemy cavalry also, Ashby's cavalry. All right, so we routed that last enemy brigade here. So good battle for us. Jackson's force should be spent at this point. Good job, Banks, sitting in the rear doing nothing. Sheer weight of numbers worked against General Jackson here. Banks rallied his troops. That is a pretty remarkable statement that I never thought in the history of the Civil War I would echo. Looks like they decided there was a more efficient route to avoid that northern objective. It does look like we took the Sunken Road objective. We're moving up to the Dunker Church objective, and then we'll go and try and take the northern objectives. Meanwhile, the battle is claimed as a minor victory for us so far. We'll move Shields' division as a whole forward here to take the Harper's Ferry Road. Meanwhile, we've got, is it Donnelly? Can't see on that map. We've got the 1st Brigade under Dudley Donnelly engaging with enemy artillery. We've got the 2nd Brigade moving forward here. How about you just move in real close and just slaughter these guys? You're still too far for my taste. Move to be on top of the boys. I don't want you to sit here and trade rifle for canister fire. Shields is moving quick, so that's good. Move to take the Harper's Ferry Road. You can see the victory is shifted over to major victory for us. We've taken a few casualties here. 155 men. Come on, boys. March into the enemy line. Oh, they're firing as they advance. Talented boys there. Must be a little bit more experienced, perhaps. So they try and overrun the enemy guns. Firing volleys as they advance. That is not easily done. I don't know if that's just a game mechanic or if that's like something that is actually... In any event, they broke those... Choose Virginia battery has broken. We'll continue advancing here. The battery is gone. Every last one of those men is dead. Meanwhile, we've got another rebel battery here, Jackson's artillery. We also had some artillery of our own firing into them. You can see they just killed some of the horsemen back there. Okay, so we're going to hopefully move these guys forward in the 1st Brigade. Just overrun those enemy batteries. It is almost nightfall. You can see it is now 1754 hours, so the time it took to deploy will probably save Ashby's cavalry. Well, who knows? The enemy may not withdraw. The game is sometimes funny about that. Did we drive them from the field? Is there a chance that... it doesn't look like we've been told that the enemy units have routed from the field yet. Meanwhile, you can see Baird is taking those objectives in the north. Again, the idea of these fixed objectives, none of these locations mattered at all for the context of this battle. Maybe the Middle Bridge mattered, but none of these northern places did. So giving victory points for that seems silly. On the flip side, we haven't even taken half of them. We still have a major victory here. So the enemy army condition must matter to some extent. You can see Burke's down here is near the ford. We'll see if Jackson tries to rally his men and keep fighting and if we have another day. So darkness is falling. Assign Banks to a shore defense battery somewhere. I mean, might not be a bad idea. Okay. Oh, cool. So I guess I'll share this. I was asking about ammunition and the economy side of things to the developer. I was curious if, because when you build a new unit, you have to pay a certain amount of ammunition as well as other things. So like if you build a naval unit or if you build an artillery unit, you have to pay for the guns, but then there's also an ammunition component that's part of construction that you see on the screen when you purchase. And the developer responded to me saying that cost of goods influences cost of construction. So for the economy of the goods, obviously he's not saying this. So if that's true, then that means that when you build a unit, the current economic price of that good influences the build cost. He also says units do consume ammunition and purchase it if everything works as intended. When you select a unit in the campaign, you'll see the unit panel, the amount of ammunition, rifles, artillery it has. After battles, it should be lower. The supply percent seen in the panel means the speed of replenishment. Provisions, forage, etc. are consumed by units in the same way. So you will, as we're fighting here and using ammunition in this battle, it will then influence the strategic ammunition price of that you see when you leave this part of the battle and you go into the strategic menu. So that's kind of cool. Did they just fight all night? What just happened here? Withdraw. It looks like the enemy's withdrawn from the field as night has set in. Okay, so this battle was a victory for us. It's a major federal victory, according to this. 520 Union infantry casualties, 1,600 Confederate out of a total of 7,500 men in the Valley Army. Meanwhile, the enemy cavalry didn't lose any men, but they lost all 25 of their guns, including about 700 artillerists. The Union lost one gun, 293 of its cavalry, 520 of its infantry, 836 total men lost under Nathaniel Banks, 2,300 under Jackson. Jackson lost better than a quarter of his force compared to less than 10% of the federal force, less than almost, 5% of the Union force? So very different results there. A major federal victory on that battlefield. All right, there you go. A victory against General Jackson's Valley Army from the 5th Corps of the Army of the Potomac under Major General Nathaniel Banks. The political general has done better. He outdid himself, despite the fact that he wanted to sit back in the rear at the ford or at the middle bridge and not come forward to the front. His troops, in any event, won a victory against a heavily outnumbered Confederate force under Jackson. A solid victory for us. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts down below, and catch you guys next time.